I've right now listed one cause, which is episodic, which is stubble burning. And of course, next month, we'll actually have firecrackers. That will be another episodic source of pollution. But the other sources of pollution are throughout the year. And that is what makes Delhi a hotspot. Delhi government blames the center and Punjab government, and at most sometimes the LG, the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. Central government blames Punjab government and Delhi government. This is what is called toxic politics. A lot of times it's very, right now the narrative is all around stubble burning. People say that stubble burning is the main contributor to air pollution in North India, which is false because it's an episodic source in the sense it only happens for around, say, 30 to 45 days, and it varies on different days. In fact, if you look at several data points from SAFAR and Central Pollution Control Board, the contribution of stubble burning to Delhi's ambient air quality could vary from 1% to 30%. On a bad day, it could actually be 40%. So it's not stubble burning alone that actually makes Delhi's air toxic or makes Delhi a gas chamber. Those other continuous sources of pollution that Delhi keeps getting throughout the year, be it the vehicular pollution, almost 30 to 35% of Delhi's air pollution could be attributed to vehicular pollution. We have more than 1 crore vehicles, 10 million cars, 10 million vehicles is what we actually have in Delhi. Construction and demolition dust, the unregulated haphazard construction demolition activities that keeps happening in Delhi. Delhi is always work in progress in that sense. That contributes around 25 to 30% again. Open burning of waste. The municipalities have really not done anything over years. Those have become temples of corruption in that sense, or an inefficient governance. And almost, say, 20% of Delhi's air pollution could actually be attributed to open burning of garbage. And then there are, Delhi is not just about air, doesn't have a political boundary. Air shed plays a very, very important role. Almost in a 70 to 100 kilometer radius of Delhi, there are around 12 thermal power plants, and they pollute. So Delhi might have shut its own thermal power plants, but these thermal power plants that are operational in the periphery of Delhi, they pollute Delhi again. So I've right now listed one cause, which is episodic, which is stubble burning. And of course, next month, we'll actually have firecrackers. That will be another episodic source of pollution. But the other sources of pollution are throughout the year. And that is what makes Delhi a hotspot. And that is what makes Delhi a toxic city. There's a government in the center that claims to be really, really wise vis-a-vis environment. But if you look at their track record, and the most recent one is environment impact assessment laws that it's actually trying to really weaken in that sense. So there's nothing really that has been done by the central government. Delhi government that actually postures as a very, very sane and for the people government that actually only allocated 52 crores out of its 65,000 crore budget to combat air pollution. And out of that 52 crores, they've actually spent, or they're promising to spend 20 crores in installing a smog tower in Connaught Place, where there's no evidence that to prove whether smog towers work or not. This time in the year, every year, if you look at their circulars, everyone keeps blaming the other. Delhi government blames the center and Punjab government, and at most sometimes the LG, the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi. Central government blames Punjab government and Delhi government. This is what is called toxic politics. Several studies that have actually taken place in India and outside of India, there's no evidence, no scientific empirical evidence to prove that a smog tower works. One, it is a very, very expensive affair. Imagine 38% of your annual budget goes in installing one smog towers. And if you have to imagine that smog towers work, how many smog towers would we require in Delhi? Like, we'll actually need thousands of smog towers. And again, as in, why look at a solution which is end of the tunnel, why can't we go to the beginning of the tunnel, which is the source? As in, if you can fix the source, why even think of smog towers? Imagine in Lajpat Nagar, Gautam Gambhir set up a smog tower last year. There's no study, no evidence to prove whether it worked or not. So it becomes yet another billboard for the government to posture, to PR, to say they are actually serious about it. And smog towers, in certain situations, if it helps in closed neighborhoods or closed surroundings rather than a Connaught place. So then again, it becomes a stunt. The reason why in 2020 I'm not pushing for short-term measures is because governments always hide behind these short-term measures, which are just a great PR for them, and can very conveniently forget long-term measures where they should be investing. Look at the transplantation policy. Look at the tree cutting regime or the practice that all the governments have actually been following. So unless and until we look at where does our energy come from, how many trees are we actually cutting in the name of development, unless and until we think about these long-term measures, these concrete measures, we will not be able to come out of this gas chamber or this public health emergency.